What's going on, everyone? I am taking Elfie for a walk, so I decided to also talk a little bit more about harness training and how I harness train my Senegal Parrot Elfie, who is about to be 10 years old, to wear his harness and go out with me. So as you guys probably already know, watching the channel and watching my videos, Elfie is a bird that I got when he was about 7-8 years old, and he was rehomed, didn't get out of his cage much, and he basically was an individual that had fearful behavior as a result of not socializing and not getting out, which, you know, it happens, but just because a bird is older doesn't mean that they can't learn to get out, to be harness trained, and to also enjoy, you know, doing things with you. So basically the way I did it is first I started with target training Elfie, which was basically, like I've mentioned before, it's a chopstick with a clicker. Have them learn to touch the stick in order to come to you. And that's like the basics. And then you just want to make sure that you're building a bond with your bird, and you want to make sure that, you know, your bird trusts you, so that, hey, as you can see, he's still a work in progress. As you can see, you want to make sure that he trusts you, so that when you start working to target or to harness train him, he doesn't develop more fearful behavior or anything like that. See, now I got your attention, huh? Can you whistle? Good bird. So basically what I did was I started off by desensitizing him to the whole harness. Of course, parrots are naturally fearful birds, fearful when they have new encounters, because they're prey animals, right? They get preyed on by predators. So all I really did was I started by target training him and holding the harness when I was target training him to start desensitizing him to it. From there, I shortened the distance of the target to the harness, and eventually transitioned into having him touch the harness and get a treat. Remember, whenever you give them treats, whenever you do that positive reinforcement, birds start associating whatever it is you got going on with them with the harness, for example. So anyway, long story short, I started like that, and then I basically started taking one loop of the whole thing and just wrapping it around his head, taking it off briefly, clicking, and giving him a treat. So as he progressed, the more that I did it, the more he wanted to willingly put his head through the loop, because he knew he was going to get a treat. From there, I transitioned finally to doing that a few times. And all this process from beginning to end probably took like 8 weeks. It's going to depend on your parrot. But I started by first having him touch the harness, get a treat, positive reinforcement, and then from there took one of the big loops, put it over his head, would take it off, click, treat. And then I would put it on for longer, so he gets used to having it on longer. And then from there, I transitioned to wrapping one part of the whole loop and having it on him permanently while I walked around the house with him. He's scared of my finger. And walked around the house with him in circles. And then he just got used to having on more and more. And then eventually I had to get to the point where, all right, it's game time, baby. You're going to get the whole harness on you. I put the little loop because he was used to willingly putting his head through the bigger loop. Then he finally did the same thing, but now with the smaller loop, went over his head. And then from there, finally had to put the whole thing on. And naturally, as you might be able to tell, he's going to want to attack his harness. This is going to be natural, but the more you repeat walking around with your bird while, you know, finally he has his harness on, and it's going to be a different amount of time for, you know, your parrot. It's going to depend. Once you get him used to it, you start associating that walking around as positive reinforcement. And having the harness on. So that's the goal. You want to make sure that harness training is a positive reinforcement for your bird, and then they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to be willing to get the harness on, and they're going to have fun, you know, basically doing it. Oh, buddy, can you give me a kiss? Oh, good bird. Yeah. That's basically it. And even now, Elfie definitely still bites his harness. We're working on it. He's gotten better and better. He just does it less and less often. Oh, you're whistling now, huh? Let's see. Can you wave? Wave. He's like, nah, I'm going to whistle. Up, 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 up. Wave. He doesn't like to wave when he's on my finger. But he wants a kiss, see? Kiss, whistle, everything. Give me a kiss. Kiss. Whistle. Good bird. So it's fine. Anyway, part of this process is, you know, sometimes doing trick training with them, walking around with him, and he gets used to it. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, like any bird can be harness trained. It just takes time and it takes patience. All that process from beginning to end took almost like 2 months. And I was probably training him, I would say about 10, 15 minutes, 10-15 minute sessions toward the end of the day. And it was about 4 or 5 days a week. I usually don't really train them on the weekend. Let them get a day off, rest day, just like us. Let them be a bird. But with that being said, I definitely think that's possible. And if you have any questions regarding harness training, feel free to drop them in the comments. Make sure to check out Alfie and I on Instagram by clicking the Instagram link in the description. And I'm also gonna drop in the description a link to a Facebook community with other bird owners or aspiring bird owners. Whatever questions you have with parrot training, trick training, harness training, free flight, any of that stuff, we're just there as a community to help one another. And hopefully you enjoyed this quick training on how to start getting your bird to wear his or her harness and just develop a more powerful relationship with your bird, and let them get out of the house, let them get out of the apartment, get out of the cage, and start exploring the world. Oh buddy, cool. Talk to you guys next time.